Alrighty, welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Race. We are watching Quinn Newton take the green flag on his first qualifying lap. Qualifying just getting underway here at Mid-Ohio. Newton clears the first left-hander heading down to the keyhole. Keep an eye on his Pontiac Grand Prix as it makes its way around the track. You see the blue on the front nose and spoiler for this car. Car looking a little different this week. Those are the playoff indicators. Drivers that have made the playoffs will be carrying those around with them for the duration of their participation in the playoffs. So if they get eliminated, they're supposed to take them back off. That way we can keep track of who's in, who's out there on the track. Newton makes his way up through the S's. Come up and over the hill. Will they be able to stay on track? It gets very light right there. He did. Good job there. See the car fishtailing on him. Trying to keep that Pontiac under control. These cars have a lot of power for this very technical track. It's easy to get the back end to come out. I went out and took a few laps during the practice and it was very, very tricky. This camera angle here does not do justice of that elevation change. It's very steep through there. Now we're coming back to the front stretch. We'll let Quinn get his time down. Quinn puts in a 1:32. First lap of record. And then into the inside wall. So it's going to be one lap and done for the 4 machine. Hoytsma brings his 97 up to the pole with a 1:29.2. Montrose in between the two CTC teammates. Montrose taking the second spot for now. Only 2 cars have made a lap without going off track. Will Spark gets his Holden up to the 4th spot. 4 cars able to complete a lap. You see his time 7 seconds off the pace. Obviously making a very conservative lap to get one to count. Martin's out here on his timed lap. This is his first lap of record. Gonzalez has put his car up into the 3rd spot. It's hard to tell in his car. The blue almost matches his sponsor, but those are playoff indicators for his car. Travis Martin puts his first time in the 4th spot. He'll be looking to pick up on that on lap 2. Ghostman doesn't have the blue front spoiler, but he is in the playoffs. See it on the back spoiler there. Blake Giglio has put his Rocket Chevrolet up into the 2nd spot for now. About a half second off of Lucas Hoytsma. He's going to stay out and try to get his 2nd lap in. And Billy Davidson and Mike Edwards. Edwards coming across the line to complete his 1st lap. Did not get a time on his 1st lap, so must have gotten an off track somewhere. Billy Davidson still in his 1st lap. Will Spark completes his final lap and he puts his a little bit faster but still in the 4th spot. Here comes Gonzalez across the line. His 2nd lap is slower by about 6 seconds. Looks like he's just out there taking the practice at this point because he's still on throttle. That's going to hurt. Lucky for him, he's spun back to the inside where there is not a wall. Trying to find anybody on track now. Looks like Giglio's still out there. Coming to complete his 2nd lap, see if he can improve. He does not. Actually, 3/10 slower his 2nd lap. Giglio will remain 2nd place. Davidson's still out on track. He's just getting going on his 2nd lap. Let's ride along, see what Billy can do on his second lap. Mike Edwards able to get a time that counted on his second lap, so Edwards goes to P8. See, Davidson's first lap was a 36.6. Needs to improve a little over 2 seconds to be able to move up. Not having taken time and still not out on track, so probably won't get a time. Dave Hoytsma, Zach Margison, Kyle Akers, and Christopher Alkire. Here comes Davison through the final S-curves, heading to the start-finish. Across the stripe. Picks up nearly 2 seconds, but not quite enough to jump over Mike Edwards. Good improvement, though. Good to see that big boost there. Looks like Davidson's going to get a little extra practice in, and why not? You got 2 minutes, might as well. Let's jump on over to the broadcast screen, say bye-bye to my face. See y'all. Here, being very gentle on the throttle. It's going to take a lot of throttle control for this course. It's a lot of power on a technical track. Seems sliding over the hill, that's not going to go well. Slide in the grass, lock it down, keep it from getting damaged. Probably going to tow it from there. I don't know what Will Spark doesn't, but he doesn't. And there's the tow. Who do we have left to show? Travis Martin sitting on pit road and Ian Montrose sitting on pit road. There he is. None of the cameras want to show him. The wall's in the way. That's okay. We can cheat. Getting some TV time for Montrose and for Travis Martin. Both chilling out on pit road. So that's going to do it for our qualifying. This will be our starting lineup as we head to race time. This is a timed event. There are not lap counter here. It is timed, 1 hour. No full course yellows. It's going to be local only. Now Ian Montrose, the last car, out there. 12 seconds remaining. Give Ian's NASA SpaceX car some love. As the countdown expires, qualifying is officially over. Lucas Hoytsma, your pole sitter. Blake Giglio going to start alongside. Should be an entertaining battle.
But Quinn, this track is a lot of fun. Fine.
What is it showing us here? There we go. And there's our pole sitter behind the Porsche safety car. Lucas Hoytsma, the Labor 12, number 97 Pontiac. Waiting on second place Blake Giglio to get on track.
I've literally never eaten there. There's like one in Australia.
No idea what they're on about. There's Blake. Number 16, Rocket Low Drag Esports Chevrolet. Ian Montrose, the NASA SpaceX car, rolling off in the third spot. Will Spark in the Holden Mobile 1. Mark Gonzalez starting 5th in the Legacy Power Chevy. T-Mart, Travis Martin rolling off 6th in his Mr. Ghostman Chevy.
Good luck, guys.
Quinn Newton, the AEW Wrestling CTC Racing Pontiac, rolls off 7th. Mike Edwards, the Fort Worth Screen Printing Idealist BSH Toyota, rolls off in the 8th spot. All those mismatched blues and Shrek. Billy Davidson, the 54 Lordco Kia, starts 9th. Dave Hoytsma, the Beretta Chevy, starts 10th. Zach Margison 11th, Christopher Alkire 12th, and Kyle Akers 13th. We are underway at Mid-Ohio as Hoytsma and Giglio storm off into turn number 1 and head down to the keyhole side by side. Giglio really wanting to stay in front of Hoytsma here. Hoytsma going in deep. Giglio taking a short way around. How are they going to come off the corners? Giglio going to clear to the grass. He does. So Blake Giglio gets first away from our pole sitter Lucas Hoytsma on the start. Hoytsma looking to his inside. These boys are racing hard already. Giglio takes it wide. He's going to have the inside on the next corner. Hoytsma going to try to cut back under as they come over the hill. Giglio maintaining out front for now. Looks like Kyle Akers has towed his car. I briefly disappeared. I keep saying out at the bottom. I wonder what that is about. I've not seen that before. Looks like we got some issues towards the back of the field. Timing and scoring is going crazy with the cars back here. Kyle Akers 25 seconds behind the field. Don't see any damage to the car. Maybe just spun out and locked it down. Giglio and Hoytsma out front. Then it is Will Spark, Ian Montrose, Travis Martin, and Mark Gonzalez, your top 6. And a rather sizable gap back to Quinn Newton as Hoytsma goes to the inside of Giglio, heading through the keyhole on lap 2. Hoytsma gets the pass done, moves Giglio back to second. So that'll put the Labor 12 Pontiac out front, Rocket Chevy in second. Will Spark in the Holden in third. I know our lap counter is very messed up. That's because this is a timed race. I'll keep you abreast of the timing. It is a 1-hour race. We have 57 minutes remaining in this race. 57. Montrose P4. Ghostman goes a little
We're good.
to the inside, hangs on to it, but loses the spot to Mark Gonzalez.
I'm glad one of us is.
Martin gets back on track. He does lose the spot to Mark Gonzalez. Gonzalez now up into the top 5 in his Legacy Power Chevy. Oh, we see a little bit of counter steer there as he gets loose coming through turn 1. Up ahead, looks like Will Spark and Ian Montrose. A little side-by-side action. See if Montrose will be able to turn it back to the right coming off the corner. Does not get underneath him. Thought he might give him a little crossover coming through. Spark holds on to third. Montrose 4th. About a second gap up ahead between Hoytsma and Giglio. Currently, this is our closest battle on track between Spark and Montrose. We'll entertain this little battle for a bit. Working lap 3. Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it, J-Munch? If we could change that, it would be fantastic. I think Clint was going to work on it. Will Spark loses it. Keeps it on the track for the most part. Will Spark going to drop back as you see the 88 goes by. The 63 is trying to get alongside. Travis Martin moves up. Now Martin back into the top 5. Quinn Newton closing in. I believe the 10 is the only car in this race not running for playoff points. Had a bit of scheduling issue towards the beginning of the season. Wasn't able to run enough races, but out here having a good time in his Holden. We know Will Spark likes to turn left and right. Oh, he gets very fishtaily coming out of the last corner. It's going to give Quinn Newton a run down into turn number 1. Quinn takes it to the inside. See if we able to make it stick. Looks like Newton maybe thought better of it. 55 is crashed. Let's go back and take a look what happened to the 55 here. Zach Margison with those Chevrolet headlights on the forward and taillights. Just switches ends on him, weight transfer, catches him off guard, sends him into the tire barriers. That'll move Margison back to last as Kyle Akers gets by here. Out front, still Lucas Hoytsma. Now 1.1 second gap over Giglio. Kind of maintaining between 1.0 and 1.2. Interesting to see over the long run how that works out. Once again, no yellow flags, no competition cautions here. It's just local cautions only. Montrose sitting in third after that spin by Spark. Got Mark Gonzalez now in the fourth spot, the 88 Legacy Power Chevy. Then Travis Martin sitting in fifth. Saw him spin, but hang in there. Now back into the top 5. Yeah, Will Spark recovering from his spin, sitting in 6th. Yeah, Quinn Newton currently P7. And Mike Edwards sitting back here in 8th. He is the 7th of the playoff drivers. Probably the goal for most of the playoff guys to try and be in the top 8 of the playoff drivers. That's what you're going to need to advance. Dave Hoytsma currently that 8th spot in the playoffs. 8th playoff driver, I should say. 9th in the race, 8th out of the playoff drivers. And behind him, you got Billy Davidson, 54 Kia. You see the Navy Dodge coming up the first long straightaway there, going through the keyhole. Then you have Kyle Akers in 12th.
Or not.
And Zach Merchison. We got an issue here. Will
I
Spark.
didn't expect you to just give me the position. Other than me saying go ahead well on the radio, but that's fine.
Then we got contact between the 63 and the 10. Looks like Travis Martin was trying to give him the spot. Gets into the back of him instead. Guys are still all running together. Martin, Newton, and Spark. Looks like it maybe caught Spark a little off guard as he came over the hill and saw a 63 car kind of slow in there to let him by. He did hear on the radio, go ahead, but maybe not focused on the audio. All 13 cars still running at this point. Front, the gap continuing to build between Hoytsma and Giglio. Was briefly up to the 1.4 there. And these two are driving away from the rest of the field. 3.5 seconds between Giglio and third place Montrose. Let's go Nue. Hoytsma and Giglio, 1 and 2. We've seen great battles out of them at the Sonoma Road Course. Hopefully we can get a repeat of that here tonight. Oh, Newton. Nue? Newton. Where's old Quinn? Back in 6th. Got Ian all over the back of him. Not Ian. Got Will Spark over the back of him. Ian's up in 3rd. He's cruising right now. Heavy front end damage to the 43. So you can go back and find what maybe happened to the 43. Loses it coming over that crest of the hill. A little too much power. Noses into the inside wall. Unfortunate for the 43. We also see a report that the 54 went around. There he goes. Just a little bit of a slide. Gonna heat up the tires a bit though. Not too bad. He's still out there motoring around. Currently in the 10th spot. Giglio's got the gap back down under a second for the moment. Oh no. Yeah. Rough go for Bandio. He was saying he was liking Richmond better than this track, and you know his opinions of Richmond. Some very strong feelings there. Gonzalez trying to reel in the two. Making some headway here. Gonzalez starting to run down Ian Montrose a bit.
Good save.
Closest battle on track is between these guys. You got Travis Martin, Quinn Newton, and Will Spark running 5th, 6th, and 7th. Little 3-car action going on. Battle for the 5th spot. Travis Martin currently occupies it. Newton and Spark still looking to move up. You got Mike Edwards trying to close him down. Edwards has actually attended a race here. Saw AJ Allmendinger take the win here. Giglio still reeling in Lucas Hoitzma. Hoitzma able to stretch it out going through the front stretch. But oh, the 88's around. Mark Gonzalez. 4th place has gone around. See if you can take a look what happened. It's like a little bit too much speed. Weight transfer coming through that last corner. Catches him out a little bit. Locks it down. No damage. Collects his thoughts for a moment, it seems. Gets the car rolling again. Didn't hit anything. Didn't get in anybody's way. Well, it looks like Spark was able to get around Newton. So we can see how this goes down. Looks like Newton sees him coming, gives him the inside heading in there. And they have to go back to the left. Newton not quite giving it to him, but Spark not taking no for an answer, went ahead and took it. Okay. Buddy in the 43's gone off a little bit again. Just a little excursion. No big deal. Doing a little lawn mowing. Happens. You can see 55 coming up on him. I believe 55 gets by him. Yeah, he did. 55 able to get by. Trying to look in the background, see if we see our leaders coming. I don't know how close they are. Looks like a minute 12 is the gap from Alkire in the 43 back to our leader going forwards. There they are. Saw Lucas and Blake popping in the background there. So we are starting to reel in lap traffic a bit. So we start lap 10 here. Currently 45 minutes remaining. 45 minutes. Quarter of the way through this timed event. Just gonna start giving these parts of the tracks random names because I don't know them. I only know the keyhole. Should be an entertaining time. Call this the camper corner. I saw a camper. The uphill S's.
Drink, motherfucker!
You got it, Murray. Cheers, bud. Delightful. Hoitzma getting the back end, coming around, sliding back into that Pontiac, but still pushing a gap over Giglio. Thought maybe that would be an opportunity for Giglio to reel him in. No, 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 not so fast, my friend. Hoitzma can drive it sideways and still make time. Hoistman out of the final turn, heading across the line. 1.0 at the line. See, Hoistman really sliding the back into that car. Has he saved enough tire to make it all the way to halfway here? I'm sure we're going to have to get at least one pit stop. And with this being a no cautions event, it'll be up to the drivers to decide when to pit. Love when they add that wrinkle of strategy in there. Ian Montro's kind of on an island right now, sitting in a third spot. Mark Gonzalez, we saw him spin, and once again has spun, as we were talking about his last spin. I was about to brag on him for not losing a spot after the spin, but now he's let Travis Martin go by. Let's take a look, see what happened to our buddy in the 88. Coming through turn number 1. Yeah, you see the back end start to come around on him, and a little bit too much power on exit as well. Once again, able to lock it down and not get any damage on that car. Just heating up the tires. This time he did lose a spot. Travis Martin goes by for the 4th spot. Seeing Kyle Akers maybe had a little bit of an issue. Currently in the 11th spot. Well, he vanished. That's not helpful. I guess that's what counts as a crash now. Game just said he gone. He crashed. Don't see anything for Kyle Akers there. I don't know what the game's talking about, Kyle. You're doing just fine. Jump back live. See the leaders catching the Navy Dodge. There are no yellows, so there are no prospects of getting a lucky dog. It's really not much reason for the 43 to put up too much fight here. Some right front damage on that 43 now, as well as that nose damage. So he's gotten into something again. Didn't see any reports, but the damage changed. Oh, the 55, dangerous re-entry right in front of the 43 and our leaders. That had to get some attention. Hoistman now around the outside of the 55 through the right-hander. And back to the left should clear both cars. Let's see if Giglio can get through. Giglio having to take a little bit longer way around. Might cost him an extra 10.
Sorry guys, I was trying to let you go.
And Benio did look like he was trying to let him go, but unfortunately
I was fighting a battle on my own.
55 came out of nowhere there with the re-entry. Let's see what we can take a look what happened on the 55. I saw him get off track. Gets the left sides in the grass. And under braking into the sharp right. Goes a little bit deep. Just slides it off. And a little out of control as he's coming back on track right in front of our 43 and the 2 leaders. So that was a pass for position with the 43 and 55. And then the leaders coming through to lap both of them. Seeing Alkire may have crashed again. Back in coming around on the 43, going through turn 1. Saw that happen to a couple of drivers already. Able to lock it down, not get any further damage. I think we're good from there. It shows another crash for some reason. I don't think he did though. Yeah, he's fine. Game be weird. Looks like Gonzalez has gotten by Travis Martin for the 4th spot. Looks like Martin maybe letting him go. Got a cone out on track. And it disappeared. Beautiful. So either Ghostman had a little struggle coming off of turn number 1 and had to gather it back in, or he let Mark Gonzalez get by him there. 55 seems to have an issue. Gets a little wide. Locks it down so he doesn't come flying back on the track. Lets the 2 car through. Nice of him. Gets it back going again. Rejoins the battle. Currently in the 12th spot for the 55. Hoistman has hit pit road. Working the 20th minute The 97 has brought his car to pit road, so it looks like the 97 perhaps going for a two-stop strategy. Coming down with the 20-minute mark. That would suggest he may be coming down also at the 40-minute mark. Hoytsma heads back out. The 88, Mark Gonzalez, pitched from the 4th spot, bringing his Camaro down pit road. Also on pit road is the 4 of Quinn Newton, his Pontiac Grand Prix. Coming to get some tires and fuel. So a lot of people on this 20-minute mark strategy. Makes sense. See, left side's going on that 88 in front and peeling out. Sure, we'll see the lefts on the 4 as well. There it is. And Newton rejoins the battle. Take a look at our pit lap here. So far, 3 cars have come down pit road at lap 14, taking their service already. Let's see if Giglio wants to come in this time. Yes, he does. Blake Giglio brings his Rocket Camaro to the pits. Going to take 4 tires and a full tank to get him to his second stop. Looks like Montrose has brought his car down as well. Hoytsma going to retake the lead here as he gets by Giglio. See how much that one lap's going to matter as far as the gap between the two. Gap's now over 2 seconds as Giglio is trying to get up to speed. Hoytsma has to once again pass the 43. Currently, Allkire's gotten back on the lead lap. Not having pit yet would be Will Spark, Mike Edwards, Dave Hoytsma, Davidson, Akers, Marderson, and Allkire. None of those cars have made it to the pit road yet. See Hoytsma starting to look for a way around the 43. Giglio currently 2.3 seconds back. Allkire going to run out a little wide there. Hoytsma trying to cut back. Whoa. And Hoytsma able to clear the 43. Now Giglio has to do the same to keep pace. Giglio able to clear the 43. That gets him quite an advantage as he was able to clear much faster. And that gap now back down to a second. It was 2.3 between our leaders. Giglio able to catch the lap traffic in a little better place and get through better.
Thank you, Dave.
See Dave Hoytsma
No
letting
problem.
Travis Martin through. Was a pass for the 7th place. So Hoytsma, your leader, has already made a pit stop. Giglio in second also has made a pit stop. Then Ian Montrose, currently in third, has made his pit stop. Will Spark, not too far behind, but he has not yet made his pit stop. That number 10 Holden has not come down to pit lane yet to get service. Not sure if he's going to try to stretch it for another 6 minutes and get all the way. Edwards may have had an off track here. Just going through the grass. No big deal. Sightseeing. Doing good, Mikey. Still in P5.
Thank you.
Hoytsma now catching up to the 55. Hoytsma gets around. Giglio now has to work around the 55. Giglio making quick work of him. Trying to maintain that gap and try to even reel him in a little bit. Montrose now 10 seconds back from our leaders in the 3rd spot. Another 6 seconds back to Will Spark in the 10. Again, he has not come to pit road yet. Mike Edwards in the 14. He is in the 5th spot, having also not making a stop yet. The car behind him is on fresh tires. That is Gonzalez, Mark Gonzalez. The 88. Probably eager to get around this 14 machine. Just so hard to pass here. Very narrow track. Up front, battle gap is still about 1.1 seconds. Trying to wait to see when everyone else is going to come to pit road. We can go ahead to gap though. Drivers now working lap 17. 34 minutes remaining in the race. I believe the drivers that have not stopped yet are trying to go on a one-stop strategy.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
Here, Edwards letting the 88 through. Going to let Martin through in the 63 as well.
There you go.
Nice sporting move there by Edwards. Letting those guys get on through. So now Gonzalez up to the 5th spot. Martin now 6th. Edwards falls to 7th. We do believe all of these cars still have to make one more stop. Unfortunately, getting reports that the 43 may have had another excursion. Just get a little deep. Oh, comes around on him. Fortunately, nobody coming over that hill right behind him. Able to get it gathered back up. Moving on again. Oldkire continues on in the 13th spot. Jump back alive here. Hoytsman now working lap 18. It takes out all the cones. Sends all our cones flying for good measure. Now somebody's got to run out there and set them all again, just for you to knock them down another lap. Those poor corner workers.
Threw me off there, Zachary.
So you hear the cones being all knocked out through off the 2 car. He uses them for his marker coming through there, I'm sure. Will Spark enjoying that 4th position right now. Is this the 24-hour race? No, it's just the way that our setup shows for timed races. Unfortunately, they've moved away from lap counted races and gone to timed. So it's a 1-hour event, and currently it is lap 18 of Infinite because it's 32 minutes left. How we doing, Wes? Watching Will Spark make his way around the Mid-Ohio course. Should be seeing pit stops soon. Perhaps one more lap for these guys that haven't pitted. Margerson's now on pit road. Brings the 55 to the attention of his crew.
Come on, spotter.
Eight-tenths of a second, the gap between first and second. Hoytsma and Giglio. These two always doing battle in Sidewinder, it seems. Will Spark has finally brought the 10 to pit road. Edwards brings his Toyota to pit road. First stops for these guys, they're going on a one-stop strategy. Be interesting to see how it works out for him as Edwards misses his box, I believe. No, he got it right on there. Did Spark run out? I don't think Spark made his box. He may have just taken a tow. That's unfortunate. Perhaps that's why not too many people were going for that one-stop strategy. See the 79 Hoytsman making his way out. As our leaders go by on the outside. All these cars trimmed in blue, all playoff cars. Feeling rough right now? That's unfortunate, sir. It's like the 46 has made his way to pit road, as has the 54. So a lot of these guys back in the back were taking that one-stop strategy.
My hair go around me.
You say he's just putting his hair up. Giglio slipped up a little bit. He did have it down to 8 tenths. Now it's currently sitting at a full second. Looks like Spark came out of pit road. See what happened to Margerson. Quinn got a little deep. Margerson followed suit. Looks like Quinn was able to save it. Margerson not quite as lucky. Yeah, he got it going pretty well though. Bama leads Georgia 9-6 at the half. Thanks for the update. I know that's where some of our drivers are right now, watching that instead of this race. Happens. See what happened to Gonzalez here. Oh, the back end comes around on him, slides right off the track, and noses into the tire barrier. That was our 4th place car. It's now falling back to 5th. The 88 of Gonzalez struggling a little bit there. Gets back on track. Keeps it going. Still holding a spot in the top 5 despite all that. Just a long gap up to Travis Martin now. Let's jump back live. You have Hoytsma 1.3 seconds over Giglio. And then 13 seconds back to the number 2, Ian Montrose in 3rd. And then 27 seconds from there back to Travis Martin, who has Will Spark behind him off the lead lap. Should be about another 8 minutes before we start to see the 20-minute strategy come in for their second stop. I think Martin's going to let the 10 go. 10 getting a little stabby on the throttle there, but able to get by. Not for position once again. Will Spark is off the lead lap. I do believe he had to tow. Looks like he ran out of gas coming to his box, and unfortunately it's an uphill pit road. Giglio still keeping Hoytsma just within sight. Hearing reports Edwards has gone off. Let's see what happened to our friend in the 14. Gets a little hot going into 1, and once you get into that grass, there's just no stopping it. You gotta slide forever and hang on. That wasn't too bad though. Maybe cost him a few seconds, but kept it going the right direction. Now he's just in front of our leaders. And the 14, no, he blinked out. He's been having some internet issues, and it's not a good time when you're around the leaders. Area iRacing, thank you so much for the raid. Hello, welcome everyone. Hope you are having a great stream. Thank you for bringing your community by. We're broadcasting the Marable Mobile Detailing ARCA series from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This is the first race of our 5-race playoffs for the ARCA series. These drivers trying to get it done out here in Ohio. Lucas Hoytsma, the black 97, your current leader, trying to put a lap on the 14 Toyota in front of him. Hoytsma's going to take a peek and then kind of lift it a little bit. I think you hesitated, didn't know quite what Edwards was about to do.
One, Lucas. You too, Blake.
Here, Edwards saying he's going to get out of the way when they get down to turn 1.
Don't give it to him.
Hoytsma taking it ahead of time. Giglio got very out of shape trying to enter turn 1. Saw him fighting that thing. Giglio able to keep it under control. How was your stream, Area iRacing? What were you guys up to? Ian Montrose is currently P3, 13 seconds back of our leaders. Kind of on an island by himself at the moment, no one around. Travis Martin, 30 seconds back from Montrose. Currently sitting in the 4th spot. Still riding around with Will Spark. Spark, of course, off the lead lap. Mark Gonzalez in the 5th spot. We've seen him having quite a few adventures today, but hanging tough in the top 5. We got Quinn Newton currently in 6th. Mike Edwards just going a lap down in 7th. Dave Hoytsma 1 lap down in the 8th spot. Kyle Akers currently in the 9th position. Billy Davidson shown in 10th in the Kia. And then that Will Spark Holden Chevy. It's 11th. Zach Margerson currently 12th. Seeing a report, he may have had a little excursion. That wasn't too bad.
Are you kidding me, dude?
Who is that? Will Spark? Let's see what happens between these two.
Cheers, Dave.
Martin all over the back of that 10. Anything too egregious. Martin probably not happy with the lap machine holding him up a little bit. These two still together. Who's winning the shit show? Lucas Hoitzma. But to make the Ghost Man angry is very difficult to do. So we're keeping an eye between these two cars to see if any drama unfolds. It's currently got a little bit of a gap. Giglio is not letting Lucas get too far away though. See, there's Giglio in the second spot. That silver machine. Looks like they're coming up to put a second lap on the 55. Looks like the 43 is sitting on pit road. May have had to get some repairs. The 55 is sliding around right in front of our leader. That has to be terrifying for Lucas Hoitzma. Let's take a ride on board. Just kind of see what it's like to go out there and be on board these machines. Let's ride from Blake's car. Oh, Blake's sideways through turn 1. Hangs on to it, but very sideways going through there. What a handful.
Will, come on, dude.
And Travis Martin still upset with the 10 car. You hear how very little throttle he's putting in on that 16 as he head around the keyhole. How much time left? We're getting close to those second pit stops for the leaders. 2 minutes away from the 40-minute mark. So 22 minutes remaining in this session. Think about another lap before our leaders come in. They may come this time though. We'll keep an eye on it. We will know from the cockpit. You hear him struggling for that traction. Giglio fighting it over the hill. It seems like these guys are on ice skates. This is crazy. Get towards the end of their run on these tires. See Hoitzma taking a little wider line there. Giglio keeping it nice and tidy on the inside. Here's the pit road. Both of them drive by the pit road this time by. Probably next time by for both these cars if they're sticking to that 20 and 40 strategy. I don't see why not. The drivers that went the full 30 really struggled. Down through the keyhole once more. Just riding and turning right for a long time through there. See Giglio fighting it with a little bit of counter steer to the left coming off the corner. Car obviously struggling to hook the power up. Go down, then back up the top of the hill. And then track falls away as you turn left here. See the 43 is off track, going to make a re-entry right at our leaders. Keeps it down to the inside. Did his best to stay out of the way, not too bad there.
You hit me. You almost run me over. 3 separate occasions. You slow me down on new tires. And then you race me like that. Are you out of your mind?
The Ghost Man is furious with Will Spark right now.
A lap down, might I add. Why was I a lap down? Because you wrecked me and I couldn't make my pit box on fuel. Thank you.
Wow. Well then. Spiciness. See, Giglio's always turning right as he gets to turn 1 because he is fighting that condition. I can't believe we didn't get pit stops there. Much toxic. Much toxic.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Imagine.
How many times do we have to say there's no way to let people pass on this track?
We're still complaining. I think that's enough of the onboard with Blake. Let's jump back to an outside camera.
Sorry, Quinn. Hey, no worries. I ain't nothing on.
Trying to see where the 10 is, but he is off the track now. Allkire's back on track. Looks like he's got his repairs done. Uh-oh. Not the brand new car. Okay, he didn't hurt it. Bendy, I'm sure, will be happy when this race is over. He may get one spot here. Will Spark has put his car in the pit lane, taking his car off the track. Let's jump back live here. There we go. Here's our pit stops. Leaders are on pit road. Hoytsma and Giglio coming down together. Hoytsma slides it into his box. Very nice style points there. The right side's going up, almost synchronized on these two. Crew works their way around to the left side. Keep an eye on this race off pit road as Ian Montrose cycles to the lead. They stayed the same order. Hoytsma in front of Giglio. Montrose was on their pit strategy early in the race, has not pitted yet. They can go about 30 minutes on fuel. I'm not going to catch a yellow, so be curious to see what the 2 strategy is. I'm sure he'll come down relatively soon. Before the cycle, he had a large gap over the next car. Who is that on the inside? Looks like the 10 was maybe sitting down the inside there.
Cheers, Zach.
10 just drove it off the track. Smacks the inside wall. Catches the nose. Looks like maybe broke the wheel a little bit. Yeah, the left front's torn up. Not able to move. Had to tow. Tough break for our truck winner. Last race in Sidewinder. Last race he was in. He got the victory at Daytona in the truck series. Having a rough go of it here tonight. Gonzalez gets a crash marker just for leaving the pits. Makes sense. Thanks, iRacing. Hoytsma still back there in second, Giglio third. Montrose has not pit yet. That lead slowly dwindling for Montrose. Started out as 6 seconds when they came out of the pits, already down to 4. Now under 4. Hoytsma quickly reeling in the 2 machine out front. Montrose just enjoying some TV time, I suppose. Does not have the fuel to make it to the end from here, as we have still 15 minutes left to go. He would probably run out with about 10 to go. And it's going to be irrelevant anyway at the rate that Hoytsma and Giglio are catching him. Travis Martin pits his car from the 4th spot. He had a 20-second lead over Mark Gonzalez. We'll see how quickly Gonzalez can bring that down. Gonzalez will stay on track, does not bring his car to pit road this lap, so he will get by Travis Martin. Let's check our pit laps here. Gonzalez has already pitted this cycle. He's going to be right on Travis Martin. That is the battle for the 4th spot. So we got a close battle for 4th. Gonzalez and Martin together on track. Meanwhile, Giglio is closing the gap to Hoytsma. Was nearly a full second, now under a full second between the two. Still to pit, Montrose, Edwards, Hoytsma, Akers, Davidson. They're all trying to make it, actually. Edwards, Hoytsma, Akers, and Davidson are trying to make it on one stop. Montrose, however, pitted early. He is not going to be able to make it to the end. Hoytsma sets a new fastest lap at a 1:29.6. Hoytsma absolutely flying out there. Is that the 55?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that at all.
All
Just
good.
comes out of the pits and gets a crash. Go figure. Hoytsma, Giglio. Now 2/10. Giglio really pushing the issue right now. We work with 13 minutes remaining. Hoytsma closing in on his teammate Quinn Newton. That is the 6th place car about to go a lap down. Gives you an idea of the pace these two have. Looks like Montrose just ducked into the pits in the background. Yeah, so the two, Ian Montrose, pits from 3rd, take his final service of the race. Still 13 minutes to go here. Hoytsma gets around Newton, as does Giglio. Both of them clear going to the keyhole. Nice move by the 4 machine to stay out of the battle. Good sportsmanship there. Of course, one of them is his teammate. Hoytsma has opened the gap back up. It was down to 2/10. Now it's almost a full second again. Giglio really made a strong push as Hoytsma was dealing with some traffic, but Hoytsma's taken control of that gap again. Maybe you should join and block Lucas. Yeah, let's not do that again. He was not very pleased about that. That shot really gives you an idea of the elevation change. Oh, Hoytsma sliding the back end big time. Hangs on to it. Good gracious. Looks like our 55 has had a situation again. Oh, it wasn't that bad. I think we'll call that a crash. And a replay of these two coming over the hill there. Showing Newton's had a little excursion. Wasn't that bad. We'll give you credits for staying mostly on the track there.
Yeah, nice catch.
1.1 and into the braking zones. Obviously, Giglio closes in a bit. Then as they come out of the corners, Hoytsma stretches it back out. We are working with 11 minutes left. I believe all the cars that are going to stop have made their final pit stops. Most of the cars still running. Now Akers calls me a liar and goes down pit road. Christopher Allkire has made up a spot on Will Spark. Puts Allkire up into the top 12. All important playoff positioning. You never know when that one spot will make a difference towards making the next round. The battle for the lead is our closest battle on track. 1.2 the gap between the two. And the battle for 5th is a little close between Gonzalez and Martin. They came out of the pits together. Now you see Martin's kind of put a little bit of a gap on him. And this is our second closest battle on track. Giglio's still fighting that thing on corner entry through turn 1. And all the way through. Look at him. A little bit in the grass. Can't say that Giglio's not trying hard to catch Hoytsma. He's doing everything he can to try and reel him in. Now under 10 minutes left in this race. 9:55 on the clock. The Cones still knocked everywhere. Who needs cones? Hoytsma and Giglio. Giglio and Hoytsma. They've been together pretty much the entirety of this race. They pitted on the same laps both times. Keeping each other in distance. Trying to see who can manage the tires the best as they work through this Mid-Ohio sports car course. I think both of them sliding the back end. You can't say they're not driving hard. This is really entertaining between the two of them. Bet you if you ask them, they're both having a blast right now. Getting a report the 43 may have had an excursion. Gets a little deep in there. Takes a little sightseeing course. Mows the lawn a little bit. Gets back on track and no harm, no foul. Keeps the 43 going. Holds on to that 12th spot over Will Spark. I wonder if Hoytsma's pushing just enough to keep Blake at that 1 second mark, because it's uncanny how long they've been right at 1 second. Let's see if it's about a minute and a half a lap. We're working 8:20 right now. Maybe 5 laps to go? 5 or 6? So about 39 or 40 should be our target lap. Keep it posted as we get closer, of course. See some smoke through there. Didn't see any cars off though. Gap slowly growing up front. Take a little ride through the field, get everybody some TV time. You got Lucas Hoytsma out front. Blake Giglio currently P2 in the 16. Keep an eye on the gap there. Ian Montrose now in 3rd. Good run for him. Travis Martin extended his gap over Gonzalez. Gonzalez in the 5th spot. Quinn Newton currently in 6th, 1 lap down. Mike Edwards in 7th. And you have Dave Hoytsma in the 8th spot. Billy Davidson not too far behind in 9th. That is the 3rd closest battle on track. And you have Kyle Akers rounding out the top 10. Zach Margison, all the eventfulness he's had today, currently in 11th spot. Christopher Alkire still got a good looking hot rod in 12th spot. Let's see if Ghostman's able to make his way by the 55. He's been frustrated with lap cars today.
'79 pitting in.
The 55 is going to go off track here. Gives the inside lane to the 63. Looks like the
finishing this race.
88 is going to come through as well. Says he crashed, but I think he just went off. Yeah, we were watching live. What were you talking about, iRacing? Oh, the 88, a little out of shape there. Still off track. That's going to give Martin the advantage for sure. Martin now can rest a little easier. Okay, maybe got a little deep into one. Oh, cut the dirt coming off. Yikes. I'm going to nose into the inside tire barrier there. Unfortunately, dirt does not have a lot of traction when you have slick tires on. So now 5 cars remaining on the lead lap. Mark Gonzalez being the last of those 5. Edwards has hit pit road as he has given up on the one-stop strategy. Or is it his connection again? He's blinking in and out. I think it's a connection issue for the 14. Yeah, connection issues for the 14. Just vanishing. Unfortunate, he's been having issues off and on. Let's check our gap up front. Now 2.3 seconds as Hoytsman's pulling away a little bit. Does have a couple lap cars to deal with. 46 of Akers. He goes high to give the preferred line to the 97. And then I don't expect his father in the 79 to give him too much trouble either. Looks like the 79's come to pit road. Yes, Dave Hoytsman brings his car to pit road. The gap steadily growing between Giglio and Hoytsman. Let's see what other battles we may have on track. Things are pretty well spread out at this point. Our best battle still is this battle for the lead. The second closest battle is between Billy Davidson and Kyle Akers, who's way behind him. Well, I guess this one. Edwards and Billy Davidson, 8 seconds. It's the only other battle that's even remotely close. It's the only one under 10 seconds. It's a battle for the lead, just going the wrong way for the Giglio machine. Working now with 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes remaining. See the 43 off track once again. I know Bandio cannot wait for this race to be over. 55 down in the grass, out of the way, letting the leaders come through. Closing in on the end of this race. First.
Is this disaster over yet?
Not quite.
Almost.
2:48 on the clock. Hoytsman again stepped out sideways as he comes across the line. Starting lap 38. Should get the white flag, I believe, this time by, but we'll have to double check. I think it looks at the average lap time and issues it when you have less than that remaining. That's how it worked before anyway. We'll see if that's still the fact. Montrose maybe had a little bit of off track here. How is that oh, he disappeared. He's like, how's that a crash? And then Dave Hoytsman, our leader's father, gets a little wide there. Still maintaining a spot in the top 10. 5 seconds the gap between Hoytsman and Giglio now. Hoytsman no longer saving anything. Giglio P2. You know, he loved to run down his rival in the 97, but not able to get it there. Everyone now spread out so much. Almost every battle is 15 seconds or more, except this lead battle, which is 5 seconds. So we will keep it here. See Giglio in the background, that gap stretching out big time now. Hoytsman comes across the line. We do not see the white flag, so this race will go 40 laps. 40 laps will be the distance. Now under a minute to go on the clock. And the timer has shown now lap 39 of 40. Less than 2 laps now remain for most of these drivers.
Cheers, Quinn.
What up, Jeremy? We're almost there. Almost there. Lap and a half remains for Lucas Hoytsman. Enjoying a 5.8 second now lead over Blake Giglio. Just on cruise control at this point. Giglio back in second spot. And you got Montrose currently third. Travis Martin riding in fourth. Mark Gonzalez in fifth. Quinn Newton is sixth. Mike Edwards in seventh. Billy Davidson shown eighth. Kyle Akers in ninth. It's 46. Fleming, Heating and Fleming, Dodge. Dave Hoytsman in 9th, in 10th, excuse me. Zach Martin 11th, Christopher Alkire in 12th, and Will Spark Lucas Hoitzma. Wow, it showed us a white flag, then it showed us a checker flag. Now it's saying official results. What? I'm so confused. Alright, well I guess that was the end. We're going to end there. Lucas Hoitzma gets the win. Blake Giglio in second. This is a really weird place for it to throw a white flag and then a checker flag. But here we are. Race complete. Lucas Hoitzma, your winner. I was getting ready to have our 1 lap to go thing. Ian Montrose bringing the 2-car home, trying to get that podium finish, and does so as he crosses the line. Montrose gets the last podium spot. And the Ghost Man, last one to bring it home.
Thank you, Quinn. That put me in my misery.
That's what I'm here for.
Travis Martin up and over the hill. He's probably happy he doesn't have to do interviews after that race. Comes through the tight left-right for the final time. And across the line for 4th place, the last car on the lead lap. See all kinds of guys just smashing the cars. Oh my gosh.
I finally finished one.
And there's Lucas.
Sorry for getting heated in the middle there, Travis. I'm just got no patience left with ARCA.
Takes a cone with him, does a little celebrating with the 16 of Giglio. Let's go ahead and get our drivers to the waiting room. We can get your interviews in. We got Ian Montrose in there and Lucas already. Still waiting on Blake. Let's see if we can go back a lap here. Get some time with the 2-car. We'll put this to 1 sec. Drop this to 3rd and hit replay so we can hear our guy Ian. He rigged is probably right. Let's bring Ian up. Ian, is DG, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, a rather uneventful race for you, on kind of on an island most of the race, but tell me how your night was and how you're able to get that podium done.
A leisurely country drive tonight. You know, got to see mid-Ohio, and yeah, no, really nothing apart from back markers. The only time I ever saw the leaders really was at the pit stops, but yeah, no, I mean, great for a 3rd place. Good momentum in the playoffs, but yeah, I mean, a bit more racing would have been cool for me, but I, you know, can't complain about it being uneventful on a podium either.
That's right. Like you said, a country drive is probably the perfect way to describe it. It looked like you were just kind of out there cruising, having a good time.
Yeah, no, this track is really challenging. You know, you have to be consistent and steady and smooth, and when the tires start going off on such a long stint, it's really rewarding, but also pretty stressful as well. So it's a good race overall, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Homestead.
Now, was your plan the whole time to go to a two-stop strategy, or did you kind of make that up mid-race?
Well, I literally was going to see what the starters, the leaders were doing, and then sort of base it off how my tires felt at the time, or if I was running out of fuel. My fuel was good on both. I had about 3 and 4 laps of fuel left on the stints, but the tires were just too stretched. So, yeah, no, the 2 stint was, I think, the right strategy today. But yeah, you really had to take care of them.
All right, bud, sounds good. You got any sponsors, friends, shout out you want to throw out there?
Still looking for a beer, still, even now. All right, any beer sponsors out there? You know, I'd love it. Other than that, love my wife. Appreciate you, DG, for calling the race. Marables and all that lot. Appreciate you, and see you at Homestead.
All right, bud. Thanks. Congrats on your podium finish, sir.
Yeah, take care, sir. Have a good evening.
That's Ian Montrose in the 2. Bringing it home in the 3rd spot. We still don't see Blake, so we're going to go ahead and bring Lucas up here. Lucas, DG, you got a copy, bud?
Yep.
Well, it looked like it was mostly cruise control for you. A little bit spicy moment here and there with some back markers on occasion, but it looked relatively smooth. You did have a few moments where you were working really hard and could tell you were trying to keep Big Giglio at bay with the back end sliding every which way, but kept it under control on track. Fantastic job. Really entertaining to watch if you're a little more technical and know what you're looking for. It was very entertaining. Tell me how your Sunday drive kind of went there.
With a giggly slow bearing down in your mirror the whole time, it's hard to take it easy. So yeah, that most of the time I was trying to save tires, but every time I'd see him get close, I'd really put the pedal down or try to. It was really hard to do that here. But me and him were good in opposite sides of the track. The first 3 corners, I would gain a second on him, and then through the last 4 or 5 corners, he'd gain all that back, and it just kept doing that over and over again the whole race. And at the end, I got lucky with those lap cars. I think he got slowed down a little bit and burned his tires off trying to get around him. So it was a tight race the whole time, and I did not think I was going to enjoy this going into it, but this track was pretty fun.
Well, Cliff says you're lucky he wasn't there.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that. I mentioned that. I was like, with Blake a second behind me, I'm sure glad Cliff isn't here.
Wow, poor Cliff. Well, congrats on your victory. You want to throw out your shout-outs for me?
Just shout out to Labor 12 in the Hood, Randy, my boy, and CTC Race, and
all right.
Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, just because Ohio, right? No, you're not too far from Ohio, aren't you, Indiana?
Yeah.
Kind of close.
A little bit.
All right, Bud, congrats on your win, getting it done in the playoffs. I believe that moves you to the next round automatically. We'll see you next week. Congrats once again.
Thank you, sir. See you.
That is Lucas Hoitzman in the 97. We don't have our second place finisher in the chat, so I don't think we will be having any further interview. I'm taking a look just to make sure he's not down below anywhere. Nope. All right, that's going to do it for our broadcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been iRacing. You can buy these cars and this track at iRacing.com. You can go to dgsracing.com, click on the big red snake. That'll get you on over to our Discord where you can sign up to run any of these events with us. We'd love to have you out. Come on, check it out. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, and have a great night.